to talk about character. A lot of times people will talk about character-driven films or plot-driven films, and this is sort of a misnomer because there's really no such thing as a film that is not character-driven. All films are character-driven. The reason people say a film is character-driven versus a film is plot-driven is when they're talking about a plot-driven film, they're talking about something with a very defined character goal and very big stakes. So say Superman needs to stop Lex Luthor from blowing California into the ocean so that his Arizona real estate takes on better monetary value. So you've got a big bad guy, you've got a big good guy, you've got a massive plot and very solid defined goal. Less defined goals with less big stakes are often referred to as a character-driven story, simply because it's a softer plot. California is not going to disappear into the ocean with all of its residents. Oh no, an asteroid is not going to strike the Earth. There's a character with a personal issue. For example, love. A lot of romantic comedies are character-driven because if the character does not find love, the world will not end, right? Or if we're talking about a Little Miss Sunshine, it's a pretty simple goal. Get a little girl, across a state line into California to go to this beauty pageant. It's not a big goal. It's a softer, gentler storyline. And the characters have personality, which drives the plot. But the thing is, characters also have personality to drive plot in the bigger, more plot-driven, more hard-hitting plot action movies, because everything that happens in a story plot is dependent on who the character is and how the character approaches problems. You'll especially see this in fish out of water stories, which are often comedies, because you see a character who's not in their normal world using their normal skills and applying those to whatever the problem is in the story. So if you see a story like Miss Congeniality about this FBI agent who's got to go and be in a beauty pageant, and she's never plucked her eyebrows in her life, but woohoo, now, she's going to be Miss America, or at least, stand in line. Well, in this sort of a situation, you're watching how she approaches things. Well, she doesn't really know how to bond with other women, but she knows pizza and beer, and all of those beauty pageant girls are starved, right? Well, pizza and beer goes a long way if you haven't had any carbohydrates in 3 years. So she uses that skill. She uses her self-defense skills as one of her on-stage exhibits, her talent. She uses her skills. And so you get some comedy out of that. But the thing to be paying attention to there is that she is bringing her personality, her origins, what she knows to the story situation. And this is going to apply in any story because a plot does not exist without character, because the characters are the people in the story who are bringing their skill sets and their mindsets and their approach to the world to that story situation. So they will determine how the story turns out. They will determine which directions the plot goes in, simply because they're going to use their skill sets and their know-how and what they know about the world to approach each problem and each obstacle that they face off with in a storyline, in a feature film, or in television. So these are things to take into consideration when people talk about character-driven stories or plot-driven stories. They're all actually character-driven. Character is going to drive your plot. And of course, the monsters and the asteroids don't hurt, but that's where your plot's coming from. It's coming from these characters. So let's look at some characters, and let's look at ways to make characters stronger and to make them more real for readers who are reading a screenplay to experience a movie. See you next chapter.